It is another episode of the Green Machine Podcast. We're talking top 10 moments of the 2019 season. Stick with us. Here we go.
Wolverines, are you ready? Dig your claws into a podcast that only bleeds green. UVU sports news, stats, and more with exclusive interviews. Made for the fans, by the fans. One Team All Green presents the Green Machine Podcast.
Well, that was a first. I don't like to do intros, but, it's another episode of the Green Machine Podcast. I'm here with my guys, Micah and Tyler. It's Thursday night, another beautiful day in Utah. I actually had some good news today from the governor. I can't say that about some other states, but right now Utah's looking decent. But another night, guys. How are you guys doing? We recorded a couple nights ago, so hopefully you're still doing all right from those two nights before.
Yeah, we're still doing good. Got a little bit adventurous today. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, went on a little hike with the family, so that was good. It was nice, and like Kyle said, the weather was beautiful today. It was overcast. There was a cool breeze, and it was perfect.
Where'd you go? I saw that you were down by some river.
So we walked along the Spanish Fork River. There's a little spot in the trail that's called Dripping Rock, and it's what it says. It's just little droplets of water just dripping off some more rocks into the river. It's really cool.
Love it. Sweet.
Micah knows all about hiking and going on adventures. So yeah.
Try to. I snuck out this morning, went on a bike ride up Immigration Canyon, if anyone knows where that is. It's just in Salt Lake. But it's beautiful weather right now. This is kind of the prime right before things get a little too crazy. But I'm with you, Kyle. I'm excited about tonight. Pretty stoked about kind of some of the topics and what you brought up a second ago when it came to top 10 moments of the 2019 season.
So just to go back to Immigration Canyon, did you actually ride up it and then ride down it, or did you ride up it and meet somebody up there?
No. I live in Salt Lake, so I'll bike to Immigration Canyon, bike up, and then bike home. But
nice.
It was a quick little bike ride, try and fight off all the food I've been eating while I've been in quarantine.
Oh yeah, burn those calories, man. Burn all those extra calories.
Truth. Well, I got a Chicago Cubs cornhole set now, so we're gonna play a little cornhole and try to burn off calories that way. So,
oh man,
I just wonder if Wolverine fans have figured out that I'm a Cubs fan with all my Cubs stuff behind me, along with my Utah Valley stuff. So, anyways,
well, if you follow him on Twitter, you'd know how much he tweets about the Cubs. It's quite frequent.
There you go. Well, like Micah said, we have a pretty interesting show tonight. We're going to talk about what the governor of the state of Utah decision was today with regard to, I want to say, what, downgrading? Is that, from – we'll talk about that. Yeah. And then we're also going to start a top 10 moments from 2019 in UVU Athletics. We're going to do it week by week. So tonight we'll talk about our number 10. But first, let's talk about what Governor Herbert did today with saying that on, I believe it's Saturday morning, 12:01 a.m., the state of Utah is going to downgrade to yellow status with regard to this COVID-19. I know there were a lot of people that thought this wouldn't come to like July or stuff. So what were your thoughts when you saw that news of that decision?
Well, my very first thought was, you were spot on with your prediction. Kyle, you predicted this, that you thought that it would happen by this weekend. Like, I think it was 2 nights ago, just after our podcast, we were kind of talking about it, and you nailed it straight on the head when you said that you thought it was going to come Saturday. So that was the first thing. The second thing was I noticed that you're now allowed to be in groups of up to 50 people, no more than 50 people. And that's really a huge way to get the ball rolling to getting sports back. So it's tremendous. It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought, I'm not kind of at the cutting edge of being a scientist. I don't follow that, viruses. But it's comforting to some respect. We have pretty low infection rates in the state of Utah. You just hope that kind of that curve is exactly where it needs to be. And if that's the case, then yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I think it's a step in the right direction if we're following that counsel. And gives me a little bit more optimism than maybe I had a couple of nights ago. So yeah, I think there's real potential to move in the direction of the sports that we want to see this fall. It might be some hope for a few students as well to kind of get back on campus.
Yeah, so they can team sports can now practice. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they can, if they can play or not. But I know that in the transition, the team sports will be able to practice. So that's good. Like Micah said, is there going to be a spike? Who knows? We're not the experts, but obviously they have some data that they're looking at that says that this is where it needs to go or where they can go. I mean, with the dead period still, coaches at Utah Valley still can't have contact, like in-person contact with recruits and stuff like that. I wonder, if this will lead to maybe the basketball team getting back into the Newby Center, and stuff like that. Who knows what's going to come of this? I know for people that, have high school age student athletes, they're all up in arms that they wish that the State Activities Association would have held off on canceling all sports. But it's a step in the right direction. I think the number was today, between Wednesday and Thursday, the number of confirmed cases was actually lower than the number of people recovered from this virus. So at least in this state, I don't know, excuse me, I don't know how it is in other states, but, Utah's been pretty consistent the last 2.5 weeks at, that percentage of confirmed cases against those tested. So I hope it's a step in the right direction. And we've read on Twitter that, Gordon Gee of West Virginia University says there's going to be football this season. SEC, has talked about getting, their student athletes, or at least the football players, back on campus sometime in June. So like you said, Tuesday night when we recorded, we were a little down because of what we saw with the Cal State University decision. But if the way things are trending in the positive way, who knows what could happen?
Yeah, and I think a good call out for that is if you have schools in the state of Utah practicing, and a lot of competition can be in more densely populated areas where they aren't allowed to practice still in those types of numbers, that it might be an advantage, what I mean? As long as, infections stay off, that will be interesting to see how that plays out if we end up getting a lot more time, especially with UVU having so many new players. I refer specifically just to men's basketball on this point. That will be interesting to kind of see how that team chemistry shakes out.
Agreed.
The one thing to note with all this, I believe it was today I shared this tweet with you guys from California Baptist University, which is a member of the WAC. They actually have a plan. Their president came out with a letter to the students that they have a plan in place that they're trying to solidify and finalize so they can get their students back on campus in the fall. It has protocols for social distancing. It has protocols for safety and measures, contact tracing, testing, all that stuff. So, I believe that that the majority of universities should have something like that in place right now. So it'll be interesting to see in the next month or so what I think, because this is going to be the breaking point in the next month or so, what schools have to decide, what the decisions that have to be made, at least in my opinion.
Right. And it's interesting. I totally agree with you, Kyle, but I like that they've got this plan in motion, while still following, safe guidelines, right? But I think that other schools need to be kind of having that mentality too, or maybe not the mentality, but kind of that vision of, okay, what can we do to get students on campus in the fall? What can we do so that we make sure that they're safe, and that they feel safe and that they're still able to come and get the college experience, right? And it's obviously different for a lot of other schools, because here in Utah, we're entering that yellow phase, which is really, really good. But, there are other states out there who probably won't hit that phase for a while, and it won't. And when they do reach that point, it's probably too late for them to change things, right? So it's just going to be all interesting to see the timing of things, how other states do, in comparison to us. So there's a lot of different factors that go into that. But I ultimately agree that I think that that's what universities should be looking for, because I know I certainly don't want to be online for, this next year. So it's not fun. I'd much rather be on campus learning and, hanging out with friends, making new friends, stuff like that.
It'll be interesting to see. We're not going to talk about this every episode on the Green Machine podcast. It's kind of a difficult topic. So, because there's a lot of unknowns, so we'll just leave it at that. Good news in Utah, they're going to the yellow stage, and that's that. So, with that, we're starting a new what do I want to say? A new segment, I guess, for the next 10 weeks.
Yep.
We're going to go through our top 10 moments of UVU Athletics in 2019, 2020. Sorry, 2019, 2020. It seems like it's been 2020 for like ever. Sorry, guys.
Right.
And for this number 10, my two compadres here, they're not big baseball people, so I might do quite a bit of the talking. I'm sorry. But we're going to talk about senior right-handed pitcher Jesse Schmit. That's our number 10. It's not necessarily a moment, but just kind of the start to his senior season that he had. Ty, talk about his stats from 2019, and then we'll talk about his stats in 2020 because you'll see that there's a drastic difference. So he did something in the offseason to really change what he did.
Right. So his stats from last year, this is a huge jump, like a huge jump. So his stats last year, and I think I read somewhere that he was primarily a reliever. So he was coming in, and finishing off games, he was a closer. So his ERA last year in 2019 was 5.64. So not great. I don't know baseball that well, but that's not great. You want it to be pretty low, right? His ERA this year in 2020 was just over 1 at 1.08. So just the improvement there is massive. It's huge, and it's a shame that we only got a small sample of that, of his dominance this season. Because if he would have continued to have dominated, you maybe could have seen him, solidify a case to be drafted by an MLB team like his teammate Paxton Schultz was a year ago. So it's a shame, but at the same time, it's also incredible to see that big of an improvement.
Well, and think about this, that Paxton Schultz had, I believe it was either 1 or 2 wins last year, the entire season. Jesse Schmit had 2 in his first 4 starts in 2020. So, it just remains to be seen what could have happened. You never know. Micah, what was his best outing that he had, this year?
For sure. And tying in off of Tyler's point, I think it's good to note that this wasn't done against some nobody team, right? This was done against Washington. It was against the Huskies. It was out of town. It was a road game. And he struck out 8 batters in 7 innings. So this is pretty impressive. Road wins are never easy, especially against Pac-12 opponents. The Huskies were having a great season. So it's just a bummer to see somebody make some kinds of changes that impacted them as a pitcher and as a player so drastically. You want to keep watching and see where does this go. Yeah, I mean, this wasn't a cupcake win. UVU had a great outing against the Huskies. there were some really kind of bright moments for this UVU baseball team, and definitely one of them was Jesse.
Well, and looking at his stats, all 4 of the games that he pitched in, UVU was in the ball game. Like, they were either 1-run or 2-run games. So outside of the Washington game where they won 7-0. So he had a chance to be 4-0 technically, but when you don't get run support, that doesn't help. I was writing down notes for Jesse, and I had some right here that I have. He was 2-0 in 25 innings pitched, 4 appearances, obviously, 4 starts. Like Ty said, the 1.08 ERA, which is phenomenal, especially the collegiate level where they use aluminum bat. Well, shouldn't say they're not aluminum anymore. They're metal bats. That's another talk for another day, as I don't think they should be using aluminum bats. But anyways, he only gave up 3 earned runs in the 4 starts. So this is phenomenal. And like you said, his 4 starts weren't against scrubs. They were against good ball clubs. He had 27 strikeouts to just 7 walks, and hitters were hitting 153 against him. There's not a lot of collegiate pitchers, and no offense to UVU baseball. I love UVU baseball, but there's not a lot of pitchers that have that kind of stat line in 4 starts. Even when they won the WAC championship in 2016, that just wasn't there. And I put in my notes, about that Washington game, I almost put it was the final game of his UVU career for Schmit, but with the ruling that the NCAA put out, who knows? He might come back, so I'm not going to put it down that he's done. But it's sad that the season came to an abrupt halt, and he never got to pitch at UCCU ballpark, right?
Right. And I think that, it wouldn't be the worst thing for him to come back either, because if he keeps improving, he could come back and be even stronger next season. He could even drop that ERA even lower. I'm not sure if that's possible because 1.08 is really, really good. But, if he comes back and he gets a full season, that might boost his draft stock, and you might see him get drafted like Paxton Schultz was. So I know that softball has already announced that 4 seniors are coming back next year. So I think it's only a matter of time before we see the other spring sports, track and field, and baseball announce who's coming back next year too. So that'll be something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah. So that's number 10 in our top 10 moments for 2019-20. Stay tuned. Every Friday, we'll be publishing a podcast episode, which will have our, until we get to number 1. Hopefully by that time we'll know more about fall sports, what's going on with scheduling, things like that, because I've been told that schedules are kind of everything athletic-wise, scheduling is on hold right now until they figure out anything else. So any other thoughts, concerns, words of advice for people out there that you guys want to share with the Wolverine Nation?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Very wise. Just keep tuning in, guys. I think we've got a really good lineup of just really big moments, and I think UVU's got some great stuff that we want to talk about. Hit us in our inbox or comment on these videos. We'd love to talk about whatever you want to talk about. If you have questions about players, about coaches, we generally have some pretty decent connections to the athletic departments and the team members. So we're happy to bring up anything you want to hear about. So give us a shout, and thanks a lot for watching.
Like Micah said, let us know what you want us to talk about. We're trying to have a Monday mailbag. Logan Packer, we will get to your question on Monday. I promise you. I saw it. We didn't record on Monday because it was Mother's Day on Sunday. So I apologize, but we will get to it Sunday night when we talk in our Monday mailbag. All you other Wolverine fans, send us your questions. We'd love to answer them. Like Micah said, we have connections all over the place in the athletic department. We're going to be here. Well, we're always going to be here. Anyways, talking about the Wolverines. We love them. We love our fans, our followers, and we appreciate you tuning in. whoever wants to give us our, usual shout out before we leave here, go for it, Ty.
Go Wolverines, baby. We'll talk to y'all later.